How do you find confidence in your role as a dominant? If you want to find out, stick around. I've got a few ideas. Hey guys, it's Morgan from BDSM Relationships and Education. Thank you very much for checking out this video. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to my channel. And that way you can keep up with all of the videos that I post. I'm currently doing 3 videos per week, 2 BDSM related videos, and 1 video on corsets, and that will change over time. So I'm also going to give you guys a little bit of a heads up. I have my new puppy, Wolfgar. Say hi, Wolfgar. So I have my new puppy, Wolfgar, with me, and he's kind of hanging out at the edge of my dungeon room while I film, because I am babysitting the dog all by myself. My boy is away for the next week or so, and so I got to take care of him. And if he's not in the same room with me, he cries. He makes a lot of noise because he's a gigantic baby. So let's talk about how to find confidence as a dominant. I know that this is a question I get asked all the time, whether it's through here on YouTube, whether it is at classes that I teach, or just kind of at kink events, stuff like that. It's really often hard to find and to become confident, especially when you're just starting out and you're brand new. So I'm curious from you guys who are watching, if you do feel confident as a dominant, then what roadblocks did you come across when you were building that confidence? And, how did you overcome them? And what sort of things helped you become more confident as a dominant? I'm really curious to know what everybody has to say. So please leave me comments and let me know either what roadblocks you're facing, or how you built your own confidence, or both of those things. I mean, because we can be really confident in some areas and then still have some roadblocks in others. So whatever your comments and experiences around confidence and dominance are, please leave those for me. So I think that building your BDSM skills, getting educated in kink, can help to build your confidence. Because if you don't know what you're doing, of course, you're going to not be confident in it. So I think that that's really an important thing to do. So read, learn through others, and we're going to talk about a bunch of different ways to educate and to sort of relate to other people to help build confidence. So if you are building experience and just new, starting out in a relationship, I find that there are sort of 2 ways that you can kind of explore. If you are new and then you partner with somebody who is also new, so somebody who's new to being a submissive and someone who's new to being a dominant, you can get together and you can explore things together. So this may work for some people. I think when you are both new, one of the advantages is that the other person doesn't have anyone to compare you to. First of all, you don't have to worry about being compared to other dominants in the person's past. Also, you can kind of explore things together and learn as you both go. So you don't have to worry about the submissive sitting there being like, oh, you don't know how to do that? Like, come on, everyone knows how to do that, right? Which, I mean, is not true. People don't just magically know how to do BDSM things. You do have to learn somewhere. Now, the other approach is to have a new dominant with an experienced submissive. So this way, the submissive can help teach the dominant different things. It can be a very difficult sort of situation to navigate because you do get sort of these accusations of talking from the bottom and stuff like that. But I think that it can be a really worthwhile experience for new dominants to spend time and find out, from an experienced submissive, a lot of, what they know and what they've experienced and their thoughts on things. It can be very valuable to know what the other side is feeling and thinking and that sort of stuff. Now, there are some people who will tell you that you always need to be a submissive before you can be a dominant. I don't buy into that particular, idea. A lot of people do believe it. It's something that you'll see a lot of in leather communities and more formal sort of old guard BDSM type situations. I don't really see any value to it because I am not going to get out of submission, what a submissive gets out of it, right? I'm going to be pissed off the whole time. It's not who I am. It's not what I like. If I bottom for play, I'm not going to get what a masochist gets out of it because I'm not a masochist. I'm not going to get the same things out of being a submissive or a bottom as I am just talking to somebody and finding out what their experience is and finding out what makes them tick, what things are important to them, how they feel, and all that. I can ask questions that way. But experiencing it myself, I'm going to have a very drastically different experience than somebody who is actually submissive. So to me, I don't see a lot of value in it. For other people, they do see value in it. And if you see value in, a philosophy like that, where you should submit before you dominate, then by all means, pursue that. And if you get something worthwhile out of it, then perfect. And if you find that it's not working for you, or you don't like the idea, that's okay too. Don't let anybody tell you that it has to be this way. We always kind of go on about how there's not one true way of doing BDSM, and that certainly applies here. Now, a lot of people, when they first start out as a dominant, will get this idea that they need to find a mentor or a teacher, a trainer. There's a bunch of different words that are used. And I'm going to do a video specifically on mentors and mentorship. But it's one of those things that I find has been really, really abused in the last bunch of years. And I don't... I know why it's being abused, but I don't remember exactly when it started. A mentor is supposed to be somebody that can guide you and show you what you need, that works as a sounding board, that you can talk to, you can get advice from, that sort of thing. So ideally, a mentor should be the same orientation as you, and I mean kink orientation. So I'm a dominant, my mentor should be a dominant. I could also go to a sadist if I wanted to learn play skills, or a top, or whatever, depending on what I'm looking to learn. But what you see in the kink community right now is a lot of, people calling themselves dominants offering to mentor submissives. And I don't think that works out very well. And I mean, if you had that sort of a scenario and it worked for you, then that's absolutely fantastic. Go for it. But usually submissives mentor submissives, dominants mentor dominants, and that's the way it goes. Because again, this is somebody that you're supposed to be able to get advice from, talk about, feelings, roadblocks, challenges, whatever it is that's going on. They should not be play partners. A mentor should not engage in play directly with you. They might, have, if they're teaching you a specific BDSM skill, if I'm teaching somebody how to flog, we might, both flog their partner, or I will flog my partner and they will flog their partner. So there could be play in that sort of scenario, but the play should not happen between them. A mentor is not a play partner, and there definitely should not be sex there either. That sort of screws up the whole mentorship idea of a friend that gives you advice. And think of it like a mentor in business or things like that. I mean, obviously it's a bit different, but it's the same basic idea. And I think that you should have, learn from a lot of sources, have multiple teachers, it's hard to have multiple mentors because that's a more committed sort of friendship, relationship style thing, but learn from a number of sources. This is why I keep telling you guys about, go and look at other people's YouTube channels, go out to your local community, take workshops, read books, that sort of stuff. I shouldn't be your only source of information. You should definitely learn from other people. So if anybody tells you that you have to only learn from them and them alone, I would be very wary of that person. I've come across them in my experience before, and I found that I just did not click with them at all. So, again, whatever works for you, but that would be my personal feelings on that one. I always tell people to make friends in the community because that way you get sort of that relationship. You can have a sounding board. You can learn by their example. And often just being around other kinky people will help you build confidence in your identity and how you are feeling. And knowing that you're not alone, that kind of stuff can really, really help. And I've seen people that, first approached BDSM and they were really unsure, and then within a few weeks to a month, whatever, of being within the community and hanging out and making friends and realizing that they're not a monster or a sicko or any of those kind of things, that, they really just sort of came into themselves and were able to be very confident as whichever role they needed to be. And in this case, we're talking about dominance. So all of that is leading up to, learn and practice. That is, I think, key to building confidence. So, obviously, when it comes to things like relationship skills, those are a lot harder to both learn and practice. But you can still do that. You can read, books about relationships. You can, do some introspection. Look at why have past relationships failed? What have I done to contribute to that? What could I change? You could obviously talk to a therapist, that sort of thing, and just sort of do that work on yourself. And I think that that's really important for people to do, whether it is, informal, by yourself, just, figure out what are the parts of me that I'm not crazy about? What can I do to change that and all that? Or, working with a therapist, whichever works for you. So again, read lots of books, and not just, we can read relationship books, we can read life skill books, but here we're talking about BDSM, so read BDSM books and websites. I will throw in a little plug for my book. I should have brought a copy up here, but I didn't. If you are looking to build relationships and skills, I have advice on both of those in my lovely new book, A Guide to Classic Discipline, and it's available on Amazon, and I'm going to leave some links, and I'll stop trying to sell you my shit right now. But there are a lot of other really good books out there. There's The Loving Dominant, there is BDSM 101, there is Different Loving, Screw the Roses, Give Me the Thorns, the new Topping book, and the new Bottoming book. I highly suggest you read both of them. All kinds of wonderful, wonderful books. I will leave a list in the description box. Since I just spewed a bunch of titles at you, I will leave a list there. And I'm going to start doing some book reviews as well. So, we'll have those videos coming up shortly, probably within the next couple of weeks or so. Watch videos. There's lots of really good YouTube educators out there that you can check out. And if you guys know good YouTube channels, please leave them in the comments, and that way I can check them out as well. So, you can learn that way. There's other websites that offer training videos and stuff like that, so check it out. Which then brings me to my next point, which is be prepared to forgive yourself. Because you are not going to be 100% perfect. And you're never going to be 100% confident. Like, we're always going to have those second thoughts or whatever, especially when we're trying something new for the first time. But just be prepared to forgive you for not always being perfect, because you won't be. And I would also say, if there are bottoms and submissives and people like that watching this video, please don't expect dominance to be perfect. We are human. We aren't, gods or anything like that. We're human. We're going to make mistakes, and we're going to have to ask for forgiveness sometimes. And again, there is this myth that the dom is always perfect and totally cool, and we always know exactly what we're doing and everything else. And that's just, again, that's not true. We're human just like anyone else. So you will make mistakes. It's not the end of the world. Just do your best to avoid making mistakes. Do everything in your power not to make mistakes. So get educated, know what you're doing, practice on a pillow or whatever if we're talking about play stuff. But you will make mistakes. So accept that. So to mitigate some of those mistakes that you will inevitably make, the best way to do that is just go really slowly. There's no need to rush into anything. It's just a bad idea. So go slowly. Don't start with 24/7 TPE relationships. Don't start with crazy edge play or anything like that. Just start small, start slow, and work your way up. Nobody should hold that against you. Sometimes people will, and they are not compatible with you if that is the case. But We need to go slow and then, always build your knowledge base, always learn new things. I'm constantly researching BDSM. I go to workshops. I take other people's classes because I need to learn more. I don't know everything, so I'm always learning, and I've been doing this for 20 years. There are still things that I can learn that I didn't know before, so I take advantage of the resources that are available to me in order to do that. Be patient. First off, with the pace that you're going at, with that slower pace, it's okay. And don't forget to ask for patience as well. I mean, we should always be honest about our skill level and our experience level with somebody that we are getting involved with. And if that is, hey, I'm brand new, I've never done this before, I just need you to be patient with me while we learn, then that's okay. And if somebody is not willing to be patient with you because you are new, again, I just don't think that that is a compatible, mix. So just remember, you can only go as fast as the slowest partner, right? That's the person who's going to set the pace, whether that's you as the dominant or the submissive, if they're new as well. It doesn't really matter because that's as fast as you can go. It's also very important not to allow yourself to be pressured into doing more than what you're ready for. Right? I know that there are a lot of people that, they want everything right now, and they will pressure their partner into getting everything right now. And that's, the perfect way for mistakes to happen, for accidents to happen, and for people to suffer harm. So don't allow yourself to be pressured in that way. When you first start out, it's best to keep things short and sweet. So if we're talking about a play scene, I mean, keep it short. Don't plan for like a 5 or 6 hour whole evening, elaborate scenario or anything. Just keep it short. If it's, a 30-minute spanking, then that's great. That is a good way to get started. Something very simple to do, spanking. Just with your hands, and then something fairly short, half an hour. That gives you lots of time to have, a nice warm-up, because you've watched my warm-up video and you know how important it is. And then you can get into some more intense spanking, and then you could have, you could have sex afterwards, you can cuddle afterwards, whatever works for you. So when we're talking about dominance in the, its true sense, where we're going to be having authority and taking control, just take small little things at first. Be in charge of the sex. Be in charge of, what movies to watch on television or Netflix. Be in charge of what we're going to eat this weekend. Be in charge for a couple of hours. Then work it up to be in charge for a day, and then maybe a weekend or whatever. Whatever works for you and whatever pace works for you. But just don't bite off more than you can chew, right? So just take little bits here and there. And when you're comfortable with that, then you can move on to a little more and a little more and a little more. And don't be afraid to ask for help and advice from others or from your submissive, right? If I'm having a problem with my submissive and things just are not working and they're not clicking, the person that is most likely to have the solution is probably them, right? Because they know it's not working, right? I can ask them, I can say, what is it about this that isn't working? And then they can tell me. So make sure that you always have that communication, and make sure that your partner can talk to you in this way, and that way you can find out. But don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask for advice from, again, your partner or from other people in the community. So if we are talking about dominance in the realm of doing a scene, again, we're only going to do those short scenes and simple things, but find something that makes you feel really confident, whether it's clothing or music or jewelry or whatever. Just find that thing that makes you feel really, really like hot and confident and like you rule the world, and go with that. And if it means that you are wearing, say, the same corset every time or the same necklace or whatever it is, then do that. I mean, you eventually will find you don't need that. It's not going to be your dominant uniform or anything, but it could be really helpful in the beginning. I know when I first started out, high heels made me feel really sexy, and I love my gigantic platforms. So I would get huge, huge heels and platforms. Make sure that I could walk in them first, because there's nothing worse than a dominant being like, okay, guys. But it was a lot of fun. My partners appreciated it, and I felt like $1,000,000, and that was the important thing, that I felt confident. Now, I'll dominate in my socks or bare feet or whatever, right? Because it doesn't matter to me now. But in the beginning, that really helped. So the other thing when we're talking about scenes is prepare everything that you need ahead of time. So if we are going to do some impact play, I'm going to make sure that all of my impact implements are, put out and I know where I can find them, right? And that way I don't have to waste time within the scene fumbling around trying to find stuff and I don't know where they are. So this goes to, you do have to plan your scene a bit. Obviously, we're going to negotiate with our partners about what we're going to do, and we're not going to do things that we didn't negotiate. This is where I also find the use of ritual to be quite important. It can really help put people in the right headspace when you're starting out a scene. In my slave position video, which I will link up here and in the description box, I talked about having the slave kneel and put their hands behind their head, and then you put the collar on, or if their hands behind their back and you put the collar on, whatever, and it just gives you a chance to sort of get into the right headspace. So you can find whichever rituals work for you, whether it's, leaving the room for a couple of minutes and then coming back in as your dominant persona, or doing a ritual like that, putting a collar on, that sort of thing, whatever works, but find something that helps and see if ritual will work in protocol. Of course, if all else fails, you can always blindfold your submissive, and that way, even if you are fumbling around a little bit, they can't see that you're fumbling around, and you can just kind of like, say things like, oh, you just wait until you see what I've got coming for you next. And you can madly search for whatever it is you're looking for. Hell, even as an experienced dominant, that is a trick I still use sometimes. Shh, don't tell anyone. But yeah, it's a good one. It works. And if they can't see you fumbling around, well, they don't know. And then you don't have to be all self-conscious about it. It's okay. Don't sabotage yourself, okay? Like when we're talking about all this stuff, I know I just was like, rah, here's a ton of things, but don't sabotage yourself. So don't put too much pressure on yourself to like be perfect. Don't put pressure on yourself to have this elaborate scene if you've never done a scene before. Just don't put too much pressure on yourself. Don't take on too many activities if we're doing a scene. So don't be like, oh, I have to do 20 things in 30 minutes. It's not going to work out very well for you. Pick 2 or 3 things, tops, that you want to do and work that into a scene. Don't, overwhelm yourself. Don't plan a scene that is too long. Again, we don't want to sit there and be like, okay, well, for the next 6 hours, this is what we're going to do if we've never done a scene before. Start small, keep it short. Because if you are trying to be in this persona that you are not comfortable with for that length of time, it's not going to work out very well for you. So don't sabotage yourself by expecting to be perfect and to do a 6-hour scene the first time, without any problems. It's not going to happen. Try not to be somebody, or try to be you. Don't try to be somebody that you're not. Don't try to, be Christian Grey because, he's your ideal dominant, and please don't let Christian Grey be your ideal dominant because it's bad. But, just don't try to be somebody that you're not, right? You do dominance the way it works for you. I do dominance the way it works for me. And I find people that agree with my way of doing dominance. And those are the people I partner with, because their submission matches my dominance. There's lots of people who, I would be a terrible dominant for. And I don't dominate those people, and that's something I've learned over time, what my style is and how to communicate that. So you just have to, don't sabotage yourself by, trying to be the ice queen, the, bitch goddess kind of type, if you're really just the type that wants to giggle and play around and, maybe give a couple of orders here and there. All right? It's not going to work out for you. And don't take on too much responsibility in the beginning. Again, we want to do it slowly. It's like the warm-up for play, but for relationships. Just take it slow, right? You don't need to jump in. You don't, in vanilla dating, you don't, go on a single date with somebody and then marry them the next day, right? So it's the same with BDSM. You don't have a single coffee date and then get into a 24/7 relationship. It's just not the way things work. There are always going to be that odd person out there that has done that and it works for them. It's not going to work for most people. So don't do it. And don't take on too much too quickly. most importantly, just know who you are and what it is that you want and what you're looking for. I've got all kinds of stuff on my website, and I will be posting some new stuff very soon about how you can sort of figure out what you're looking for in a relationship. So check that out. And check back to my website, and I'm going to leave a link for you guys, but check out my site because I'm always adding new resources, new like checklists and just articles about BDSM in general, all kinds of stuff. So know who you are, know what you're looking for, and don't apologize for it. You know, this is who you are and this is what you want. Don't stop until you find it. And to sort of piggyback off of that, you need to develop your own style. Like I said, I have my way of doing dominance and somebody else has their way of doing dominance. And those two ways are not going to be the same. So you don't have to be like everybody else around you. I mean, if everyone is, for instance, I know daddy doms are really popular right now. So if everyone is a daddy dom and you just really don't, you know, relate to that, you don't have to be a daddy dom. You can be whatever kind of dom you want. And I'll do a video about types of doms, I guess, because I know that has been requested. But we'll do a video about that stuff at some point very soon. But just be the dominant that you want to be. Don't worry about what everyone else is doing because it doesn't matter. They're not in a relationship with you. Of course, finally, my last piece of advice: if everything else fails, you know, when it comes to confidence, you can absolutely fake it till you make it. Just pretend like you're confident, and eventually you will be. You know, just don't misrepresent yourself as far as skill or experience. I really want to stress that. But if you need to fake confidence in the beginning until you actually feel it, that is perfectly okay. In fact, that is one of the ways that I became a confident person, is I just kind of forced myself into all of these horrifically uncomfortable situations that I just was not cool with. But I was like, damn it, I want to be this confident, awesome person. And I tried to do that. And I think that I have, for the most part, succeeded in becoming the person that I wanted to be. So, sometimes that's just what you have to do. Anyways, guys, thank you very much. I know this is a bit of a long video. Sorry about the dog. If you liked the video, please don't forget to give me a thumbs up. And if you have questions, comments, you know, ways that you build confidence, and whatever you want, just leave that in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you and hear what you guys have to say. And then I will see you in the next video.